Hey, Hector.
How you doing?
I'm fantastic. So first of all, I wanted to say congratulations again on your Charlie's Collectible Show win.
Thank you.
What a huge honor that it was for this location, for SSG. It was just to be part of that moment. You must have been so proud in that moment. We had a chance to look at your deck already. And Sharknado is taking over the world. It's Shark Week, bro. It's Shark Week everywhere. But what we want to do is we want to learn more about you as a player, because a lot of people think that they can just take your deck and they can just play it and they're going to win. And that's not the way it works. So the first thing I want to do before we even get into any of that stuff, talk to us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your TCG history, and some of the successes that you've had in the past.
Well, my name's Hector. TCG history, my first game was pretty much Yu-Gi-Oh! Before that, just to give a little more background, when I came from Cuba when I was 9. Before that, I used to play a lot of chess with my father, because there's a long line of chess players from my dad's side of the family. So in Cuba, at around I think I was 8, I was a state champion for chess. So I came here. That's when I started like strategies. And after some time while I was here, I'll get a little insight. When my dad passed away, I just couldn't touch a chessboard anymore. So after not touching the chessboard anymore, because it was too much. And so this day, I haven't played a game of chess since like 2009, type of thing.
Yeah.
And then from there, I looked into other avenues to de-stress. I learned there was Pokemon, but I never did. And then play Pokemon, and then there was Yu-Gi-Oh! So I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I got obsessed because of the competitiveness, and I played for good, I want to say 7-8 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually more than that, 2001 maybe, all the way till 2011, so 10 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then from there, I took a break because one day I just woke up and realized, man, I was too competitive. It was taking over other parts of my life, right? So I needed to get those straight. So I decided to take a step away from TCGs for a bunch of years so I could build a business, and it worked out, right? I almost went to law school and then just built a business or two. It worked out, and after that, I started playing TCGs online just to get the habit back, because you never lose that. And then from there, I started into One Piece, and then we ended up here in Lake County, pretty much.
Interesting. Okay. So you would say that the biggest, and correct me if I'm wrong, but would you say that the biggest influence on like your gaming history, it sounds like it might be chess?
Yes.
Some of the strategies that you probably have to like think about in chess, do you find yourself adapting that to your TCG, like your play lines and how you see your gameplay?
You could say that a bit, but I guess it's been a very long time since I played chess.
Yeah.
But me and my dad used to read books together about strategies, chess. We used to practice a lot, and that could translate into pretty much any TCG, right? Like once you know the premise of the game, you learn strategies, and then you learn how to outplay your opponent or set traps for your opponent in a certain way, which in TCG turns into like trying to get 2-for-1s while baiting them into playing more. For example, Arcana, right. You bait them into you can be prepared more cards. Things like that could set you apart from the rest.
Very cool. All right, so let's take a look. So thanks for sharing that. And it's always interesting because you always hear people from all kinds of people who come from poker, people who come from other TCGs. Chess is one that you hear, but not a lot. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, so I want to talk to you a little bit about your mindset and how you prepare. So when you think about entering into a tournament and you know that it's going to be 12 hours and you know that you're going to be, your deck is known to be very, very taxing. Like you have to play, you usually are running as close to the clock as you can be, and then you're jumping into the next match and you're doing that for many, many hours. So when you think about like your preparation and how you keep your mind straight, what are some things that you do that allow you to do that so that way you can be fully focused on the game?
Well, something that I personally do, like every set, I like to be more prepared, right? So what I do is I'll stick to one deck, where I'll pick up one deck at the beginning of the season or like a new set, right? Where I think the deck could actually, fit in the meta. Obviously it has to be somewhat competitive, because otherwise, you just lose out, right? So somewhat competitive, and then I just get reps with that deck constantly, right? Whether I lose, some people when they pick a deck up, they feel like, oh, I did bad in this tournament, so I'm gonna move on to something else, and they're flopping back and forth between many decks, and then that's when you make more mistakes, right? So yeah. I start out by I pick a deck, I play it constantly, so I know the ins and outs, right? So I know when I need to speed up to play faster, when I can slow down to think for a turn. And I think that's the number one step to be more to be prepared for one of these events. And then obviously from building mental fortitude by going to many of these big events. That's how you just pretty much get it, right? If you've never been to these 10, 12-hour tournaments, maybe your first one or two, you're gonna feel some type of way. You might not, perform as good as you want, but after a while, you start building the fortitude to continue and do better, right? Yeah. Just like your results will go up, your mental strength goes up, and that prepares you for this tournament. Obviously, as well as getting rest before these tournaments, not getting discouraged. All those things I think are important.
Yeah, I will say from like a personal level, the one, like I felt like you were attacking me personally, because what I do is I'm the kind of person is I'll play a deck for a week, and then I'll play another deck for a week, and then I'll play another deck for a week, and then the next one, and I'm like so guilty of that. And you're right, like when I lock in, I say forget it, this is the deck I'm gonna play. I find that I do way better over the course of like the set versus like, oh, and I'm gonna play green purple. Oh, now I'm gonna play red blue. So that I feel like you attacked me personally, but that's okay. We're still friends.
Well, I mean, that's what, like I've said, since the beginning of the game, I've played 4 different decks, right? Yeah. So I started with red purple for the first 4 sets, as we didn't have enough cards. Yeah. And then I switched to green steel for a period of time, and then after green steel, when Bucky was errated and things shifted a bit, I decided to do a green yellow. So I stuck with green yellow for months, right? And then from there, I picked up red blue. Yeah, it's been a while for red blue. I think it's like 6 months. Yeah, that's the longest one I've had so far. And I stuck through it, and I feel like I know the ins and outs of the deck, right? And you know how to prepare it, and then you could adjust it to your play style. A lot of people like looked at the list and they were like, "Oh, this is not really a list." Yeah. Just because it's not a list for them doesn't mean it's not a list for me. Right? So I played it to my play style, and it worked out. And so far, it's worked out, right? Everyone has their different styles, and you adjust the list to what you think is going to work for you and for the tournament.
Fair point. Thank you for sharing that. All right, the next one, we got another one here for you. And these are great, by the way. Like we'll get one day we'll get you your Metafy set up so that you can use these to your effect, bro. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the deck that you brought today. So, spoiler alert, we are in the middle of kind of wrapping up the 15K charity event, which is it's been a week, right? It was 2 weeks ago that you won at CCS. Yeah. And you brought
actually just on 1 weekend. Oh, no, wait, was it one? No, 2 weekends.
Yeah, it's been two. It's been 2 weekends. So we're 2 weeks out. Now your deck hasn't changed a lot. I think I saw you tweaking your deck outside, and I know that you were like making some minor modifications. So in terms of my question, what were some of those final last minute changes that you made, and why did you make those changes? Like, what were some of the things that you were thinking through that you knew needed to be modified for this event?
So I started out when I went to CCS, I was running just one item removal, and I felt like everybody started playing the Cusco, which in turn I tried it on. It was a good idea. Right? I decided to add one in, and it worked out, but I should have had more. Like I saw some situations where if I would have had it, it could have done a little bit better. Right? I put it over Hideaway, but I missed one of the hideaways as well. Right? So they have both of their uses, so I have to tinker a little bit with the ratios. I also I took out one Medusa because I'm a big fan of Hades. In the last set where I thought I was playing 3 Hades, yeah, blue, right? Now everybody's going back to control, so maybe I'll give Hades another try.
Sure.
So that was one of the ins and outs. Then I tried like a little techie card just for fun to see what would work out. It worked out a couple games, but my game losses today were good players. They drew better than I did. Some of them had a bunch of mirrors where they saw most of the Flaversham's. I didn't. That's usually how you lose in the deck, right? You run out of steam. Mm-hmm. And then I played a red purple player who played it extremely well, and it just never lost his hand size, and I just couldn't get out of it. So, but this also teaches you, right? You can't win all the games. Yeah. And then this also helps your mental fortitude, right? This was the very first Lorcana tournament that I've ever dropped, right? When I went 2-3, I knew there was no chance. So I said, you know what? Go play side events, and to some point, obviously you feel like, hey, I performed at CCS, right? So then I come here and I don't perform. That could affect your mental. Yeah. But I see it as like, hey, here we are, we're growing. Like, you don't win all of them, and it shows you that we're human. So that's another tip that people to prepare for. Like, don't take your losses for the rest of the tournament. Some people take a loss in round 2 and it drags in their mind to round 5, and it makes you play different. You're on tilt and things like that, and that's another big thing for me. So it happened. I congratulated my opponents. So I always got to be courteous,
of course,
because whether you win or lose, you know, we're playing a game. We got to build a community. Yeah. So I wish them good luck. They won. They earned it, and here we are.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's the most important thing that I've seen at SSG. The sportsmanship is like next level. Like, no matter what, we respect one another because I'm gonna get you next time, right? Let's
And
kind
it's
of like
because at the same time, right, when you're on a team,
yeah,
you gotta be good to the community, right? Because the moment it's better to win when community loves you. Like for example, at CCS, when I finished, I felt great because everyone was like rooting for me, posting messages like, "Man, congrats, you deserve it," right?
Yeah.
As if I was a shark or super or super bad to someone might say, "Oh, I got cheated," or they have doubts, right? I'd rather people know that I'm winning because I won, I earned it, and not because I have a bad standing in the community.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Like being a person of integrity affects the ability. Being a person of integrity tells the people outside of who's watching that event whether they feel that you would deserve it or not. That makes perfect sense. Of course, that makes perfect sense. All right, I got one more question here, but then I have one more question that I want to ask you actually about your first one. But let me start here. Let me do this one first. So I want to know, and this is not to like toot your own horn, but here's the reality: is that you're one of the best players in Florida. Period. You perform consistently. You do very well. So I want to know, from your perspective, what do you think makes you stand out compared to other competitors? And like, if I were to ask you for any tips, what are some things that a general person, not me personally, but just if you were to talk to somebody who's starting in the game or in any game, what are some things that they need to do if they want to be successful, if they want to perform consistently, and to be able to potentially win a CCS or win a 15K charity event at an SSG?
Well, if you were starting out, number one is first the environment that you play in. For example, I've played some games where I go to a specific local, where after a while you don't get challenged enough. I think that's big. A lot of people are usually in their own little clique playing at the locals, right? Where you start doing well and then you step out into a realm of like the higher level play, and then you don't perform. You're like, what's happening? I win all the time here. So number one, go to somewhere that could test your skill so you can learn.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go to a place, for example, like SSG here, right? The locals, like I like to say, studies show that if you play locals at SSG constantly, all these players, they usually start, at the bottom, and then they start leveling up and winning, set champs and things like that. Correct. So number one is find an environment where you can learn from, because the moment you get stagnant is the moment you hit a wall, right? Yeah. Number two, pick a strategy that resonates with what you like to play. You like to play aggro, you like to play mid-range, control. Pick something that resonates with you, that you enjoy playing, because sometimes you pick something just because it's top meta, right? And then you don't play it well because you don't like it. That's happened to me, right? I pick a deck, it doesn't feel right, it just doesn't work out, right?
Yeah.
And then as time passes by, you develop your mental strength, right? You come to these events. If you take losses, it happens. Don't get discouraged. That's big, because other than your physical ability, right, it's your mental. Your mental. If your mental is not ready, for example, some players, you sit in front of someone that you think is better than you, right? That has beaten you in the past. You sit in front of them, you're intimidated. You're like, wow, I'm going to lose to this guy. So why even try, right? And you already lock yourself up, and you might play different. Yeah. So you go on every matchup, you got to be confident, right? Whether it's a world champion or not, these people are human. You could beat them, right? So you go in with the mentality, and that helps a lot. And then from there, practice with a good test group, right? You have a couple friends that have the same interests as you. Sometimes it's hard because some are more casual than others, right? But you get a couple of good players that can help you learn something.
Yeah.
And then number one is make sure to be able to take criticism, right? Like you can sit down and somebody could teach you something every time, and don't be locked to it just because. Good example, if I were to look down on someone, even though they're trying to tell me, hey, this could work out. No, you take that as a, put it in the back of your head. Hey, you know what? That may be a possibility. You never shut anything down, and you take advice from even lower end players, right? Yeah. Because it makes people feel good. And on top of that, you might learn something that you didn't know before, because it happens at every event, right? Yeah. And well, all of that, and then just obviously practice, and then trying, if you want to get better at a game, you got to compete at the highest level. For example, DLCs, right? Yeah. Usually it shows, like I said with studies, right? You go to your first few DLCs, and you might not perform the way you like. Then you come back to your area, you do better, and then the next few DLCs, little by little, you start going up, right? Because you're competing against better players and you're learning more, right? So that's big. If you stay in like your test group where it's just your local area, you just you might hit a wall, right?
Right. There's a ceiling, and then you have to crack the ceiling.
Exactly. And then you'll realize that when you go to other places that are a little more like competitive, where you don't perform as well.
Yeah.
What's going on? It's because you gotta test yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I got one more question. This one I came off the top of my mind. What I want to say to anybody who's watching this, you have to go back and watch the stream. And I'm going to talk about round one. Your round one, you played. I don't even know how old she was, but you played against a young girl.
She was 11 years old.
11 years old. Her dad is a very competitive player as well. He's actually still
doing
really well. Yeah,
he's
known as Beefcakes, Nicholas, his daughter. So what I thought was really interesting, because you have a kid, you have a daughter, you have a kid. So and if you watch the stream, you should watch the stream back too, because I thought about the fact that you have a daughter. You once told me that you're excited to like teach her the game. So I wanted to know like, did any of those thoughts kind of come through as you were playing against her? Like, were you thinking about, man, this is awesome. Like, this little girl's playing. Like, I want to know, like, what was going through your head? Because knowing that you're a father, knowing that you have a daughter, what were some of the things that maybe went through your head about, like, man, this is pretty cool about?
No, after she finished, the judge had told her, hey, you need to change your sleeves because they're a little nicked. And she said, oh, my dad's gonna buy some for me. So I went out with them and I told them, hey, I talked to her dad because I wanted her to meet her dad because, like you said, I was intrigued. Let him know, hey, just tell him I have store credit to take it off me, and so she got sleeves from us.
Yeah.
And that was super cool. We had a nice conversation.
Nice guy.
And he explained to me he's trying to travel. He's he wants to do better at his events, and that his daughter just started playing. She was a little overwhelmed at the beginning because they went to the tournament in Wisconsin, so she was afraid to play. But after a little while, she's getting it right. Yeah. And then to sit in a room with all these higher end players, it's a little intimidating at times. But I did think about my child. Like, my dream is to say, hey, maybe by the time that she's old enough, like her age, I could bring her to these tournaments and like, hey, resonate with her. Like, hey, Dad, I want to play. I want to travel. Like, that to me is I'm looking forward to that, right? Yeah. So when I saw that, you're right. I was sitting there. I'm like, damn, this could be my daughter one day, right? Yeah. And someone's gonna be talking about her, like, oh, she's beating the big boys, right? So it definitely did resonate there. Yeah. And then I tried after our match. It's something I do sometimes. It might be a bad habit that some people don't like. When I play someone, at the end of the match, I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe you could have done this better in this situation. Yeah. Because it's good information. Some people take it as like, oh, you're better playing. You're trying to show off. No, it's a habit that I'm just trying to show you that there's other ways that could help you improve, right? So I went up to her and I explained to her, I showed her that, hey, look, she could have done better. Yeah. Be careful so people don't take advantage of her, because like you say, also in our community, a lot of good people, but there's some that they take advantage of new players that don't know the rules or angle shooting. They do a lot of things, right? And then it could be disappointing for someone like her. She's young, she's starting to come here, compete, and wants to have fun with her dad. Yeah. And then someone tries to, use a technicality to get around her, to get a win just because they want to win. Yeah. So little things like that, so she doesn't get discouraged and she doesn't want to come back. Yeah. Right. So even if I would have taken a loss, it was a great feeling to get out. I talked to her dad. Her dad is super nice. We connected. I'm like, man, I have a daughter. Like you said, one day this is my goal, right? Yeah, yeah. So it does definitely feel good. Good. I had a feel like I saw you on camera, and there was like something in your face that was like, I'm gonna talk to this guy, because I know you enough to know that. So that was really cool. And then something else that people don't really see, like these card games, learning these card games helps you develop brain power. Like if you're a young child, right, and you're going through development, these are like puzzles, right? So you learn how to play and you develop. There's certain kids now. There's like a Magic player. A girl, she's like 10 and she goes to pro tours. Yeah. Her dad taught her how to play, and she's just intelligent and she's growing. So something like that should make you feel proud, right? Like, absolutely. Yeah. Bring your kid is out here winning, and there's no greater feeling. Yeah. 100%. Well, Hector, thank you very much for taking the time. I know it's we don't think about these things. We often think that when we think about players, we go, hey, let's show me your deck list, which is cool. Deck lists need to be out there. There's a value to seeing the deck list, but if you don't really understand like what's going on like inside, like why the build is the way that they are, I feel like that it's never enough to just see the deck list and win. And like I really appreciate you sharing with us your perspective about things that they need to think about. You talked about ways that you can be better, not just like the actual physical playing of it, but like ways that you set yourself up for success, and like really understanding how important it is to be a part of a community as a group of people, but also in your own family too. So of course, thank you again for taking the time, bro. No, anytime. It was very, very nice of you. Thank you. Hey, man, no, thank you. Isn't that cute? Yeah, I know. I was thinking